Hello, great day to you. Welcome to another edition of our class. This is the Editor Scholar, and you are especially welcome. In our first episode, we've been able to look at the meaning of logic within the scope of the meaning, the benefits, the principles, and of course, the connected symbols. However, in this episode 2, our attention will be basically on argument. However, if you know you have not seen the first episode, I'm going to say please go and do that so that you can really follow through and be able to have continued knowledge of what we are doing. However, so for this one, our attention will be number one, we're going to look at the meaning of argument. And I'm sure many of you will be very surprised that argument is surfacing in logic. But this is not argument of boxing and of course of fighting or disagreement. This is in the technical and intellectual sense, argument. So we're going to be looking at the types of arguments. We are going to be looking at the deductive part and inductive part, the valid and invalid, the sound and unsound argument before we now go into fallacies. However, we're also going to do more of examples and explanation because I know that it takes in most times examples to understand this thing we're talking about. Remember to share. If you have any comments, please let me know. Put in the comment section and immediately we will surely attend to your questions. Once again, welcome to class. Now, the meaning of argument. As I said earlier, it's not about fighting or boxing. In logic, argument means something different entirely. So what is an argument in logic? An argument can be defined as a set of propositions made up of two parts. So an argument is simply a set of propositions made up of two parts. One as the premises or premise, the other as the conclusion. So what makes an argument simply means having two parts, one as the premises and one as the conclusion. I want you to understand better. An argument can be defined as a set of propositions. What are propositions? They are statements, words. So when I say that, for me, Nigeria is the giant of Africa, that is a statement. That is a proposition. However, it might not really be an argument yet because I need to give you why I have said Nigeria is the giant of Africa. I can now say that Nigeria is the most populous black nation. Therefore, Nigeria is the giant of Africa. So what I have said now has two parts. One part for why I am making a conclusion. So two parts it is. The first part is saying Nigeria is the most populous black nation, and number two, and as such, the giant of Africa. That is an argument. Why is it an argument? Because it has two parts. One as the premises and one as the conclusion. For example, so this is an example on the board. But before we go into that, I have mentioned two things and I'm sure you'll be saying what is the premise and what's the conclusion. This is the meaning of the premise. Premise, if it's a singular, and premises, if it's a plural. What is premise and what are premises? I am going to say this. When you define arguments, you might need to put this from there too. So premise or premises can be defined as the reasons, the basis, or the explanations you are giving to establish a claim. Premises are the reasons, the basis, the justification you are giving to buttress your claim. So what's the claim? The claim is the conclusion. So while premises are basis, justification, and reasons given to buttress a point, conclusion can be defined as the center thought of an argument, what you meant to defend, what you mean to say, what you have in mind. So while premises are reasons, conclusion is only one, is the main claim. the main claim. So, premises can be 1,000. Conclusion is 1. Now, let me just bring it to us because I want to be very relatable. This is not just about book. In our everyday world, we make arguments. And that's why when you see many of your friends and they come to class and they are saying, well, our school is the best, you say, why did you say, why? And when a man is unable to provide the why, you can easily discard the main. What are you even saying? If you're a football lover, you can say, well, for me, the greatest of all time is Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. And they say, why? And many times, the why could take you many years. Or many times, trying to say this and that. A lawyer is listening to me because this course is also for lawyers. They do this every day. This is what they do every day of their life in court. So when a lawyer appears before a judge, he has a claim. And what is the claim? Please free my client. Even if the client has done anything funny, he has done whatever issue it is, the lawyer is only saying, please tamper justice with mercy and free my client. So anything the lawyer is now saying before the judge, all these things are what we call the premises. Do you know that many times the premises could be as long as going to print account statement of many years? You could be as far as traveling to many places to go and look for evidences. So those evidences are premises. Why you are saying Messi is the GOAT, you are trying to search when he won Ballon d'Or 8 times or when he won the World Cup in Doha. All those reasons we are giving are your premises. But what you want to establish is called the conclusion. So let's return. So you must now know the difference between the premise and the conclusion. However, for something to be called an argument, it must have some parts or a part known as the premise and a part known as the conclusion. For example, when I say this before you, that forbear to judge, for we are all humans. Very simple statement. I just want to write it for you on the board. So, forbear to judge, forbear to judge. Forbear to judge. We are all humans. This is an argument on the board. What am I saying? Don't judge everybody, we are all humans. This argument you are saying has a premise and has a conclusion. So this is just a basic argument. However, there is something we call syllogism. Syllogism is a type of an argument having two premises and one conclusion. Once again, syllogism is a type of an argument having two premises and one conclusion. That is, you are giving two witnesses for the claim you are making. Two reasons for the claims you are making. We are coming there later. The examples are there on the board. So, forbear to judge, we are all human. One is my claim. One is the reason for my claim. If I ask you a question, you can answer in the comment section. Which of these is the premise? Which of these is the conclusion? I am sure many of you will likely pick maybe the right one or the wrong one. It doesn't matter. We have come to learn. So, forbear to judge, we are all humans. The claim I am making here is that the conclusion here, I thought you wanted to get the answer in the comment section. So, forbear to judge is my conclusion. I am saying don't judge anybody. And imagine I come and say to you, guys, don't judge anybody. I am sure your next question is why? Why? So any reason I give for the why is called the premise or the premises. And number one, the premise I have come to say is we are all human beings. Okay, we can all make mistakes. Okay, we can all do the same. Okay, we can all fall into the same. Okay. So here, this is called the conclusion, and this is called the premise. Very basic one. For example, so, all right, let's go straight into the other ones. And mind you, argument happens anywhere. intellectual argument, and as such, we must be very ready to use the right tools of logic to engage them. Not just when somebody is talking, we are not even saying like, what is the reason? Okay, so let's move straight to it. There are two types of an argument. The first one is called deductive argument. Deductive. From the word to deduce. So what is deductive argument? Simply put, deductive argument is a type of argument where the premises support the conclusion. Once again, deductive arguments are arguments where the premises support the conclusion. Deductive argument, once again, is a type of an argument where the premises, that is the reasons, support the conclusion. Because of time, it's as simple as saying that deductive arguments are also valid arguments. So you can say deductive arguments is almost the same thing as valid argument. And what are valid arguments also? Valid arguments are arguments where the reasons given support the conclusion. Imagine me saying that the ground, say that it is raining. Or it has rained. Why did you say that? You say because I saw the ground wet. In most times, the ground could be wet, but it might not be rain. Maybe a tanker busted, or a water pipe just busted inside the community or something like that. So, a deductive argument or valid argument are arguments where the premises support the conclusion. If I say that my father is the best father in the world, you say why? I will not begin to tell you how much he did, how much he has done. If that is true, then you can agree with me that indeed the argument is valid. So, because of time, valid arguments or deductive arguments. Now, this is an example on the board of an argument, and maybe this is one of the most profound examples in the whole wide world. Premise 1, remember I told you syllogism. This is an example of an argument. So the question, we want to know if this argument is deductive or inductive. I've told us the meaning of deductive argument and valid argument. The second one is called inductive argument. What are inductive arguments? Inductive arguments are arguments where the premises do not support the conclusion, or where the premises do not give enough confidence to accept the conclusion. Like the one I said, rain has fallen. Why has rain fallen? Because I saw the compound is wet. And somebody can say, well, maybe the pipe busted. So that argument there is not valid. Is because so anything could have happened for the ground to be wet. So, examples. Now, this is what they are going to do. Maybe an example. They will just give about 10 arguments and tell you to determine if the argument is deductive or inductive, or if the argument is valid or not valid. Please follow me carefully so that you can listen or understand this depth. If you have any question, remember to use the comment section. This is an example on the board of an argument. This is called basic standard argument form. It's a standard argument form made of a syllogism, two premises. This is called premise 1. You write it like this: P1. The P1 there means premise 1, and P2 premise 2. And you now write conclusion there. So, what's the argument? I want to make an argument. You are going to judge for me if the argument is valid or invalid, or deductive or inductive. So I'm saying premise 1. All men are mortal. The word mortal means all men will die. So the men here means anybody, men. All men will die, or all men are mortal. Premise 1. Premise 2, I'm now saying that I know a guy, his name is Plato, and Plato is a man. So, if all men are mortal, and Plato is a man, therefore, Plato must be a mortal. If you are saying that all men, if all men are mortal, okay, all men are, that's true. Everybody is going to die. So I know a guy, his name is Plato, he's a man. So if a man belongs to this category, therefore he will experience this thing. This argument is valid. All men are mortal. Plato is a man. So if Plato is a man, Plato must be a mortal, he must die. So which means the premises here is giving us the conclusion easily. Oh, that's true. So the conclusion we are saying is that Plato is a mortal. That Plato will die. How will you say Plato will die? He's going to die. Why do you say that? Because all men will die. Okay. Plato is a man. Okay. Plato will die. If all men are going to die, and Plato is a man, therefore Plato is also going to die. And Plato has died indeed. So that is the argument. So this argument is valid and deductive. Why? If they tell you to say the reason, because the premises support the conclusion. That is the reason. That's an example on the board. So this argument, you can now say deductive. You write it there. Deductive and valid. So that is the answer to this question. They can give you 1,000. An argument will always be valid only when the premises support the conclusion. So let's continue because of our time. I'm going to tell you the meaning of sound and unsound argument. Sound argument in most times has to do with the content, how true are the premises. For example, all men are mortal is true, is a fact. But if I say all chicken have 4 legs, John is a chicken, John has 4 legs, that argument is also very valid. The only thing is that it is not sound because the premises are not true. So let's continue. So all men are mortal. Plato is a man, therefore Plato is mortal. This is an example. You can also give me some examples on the comments. Let me know how much you have got that one. Example 2. With apology to all my lawyer friends and lawyer people. Okay. Example 2. We want to know if this argument is valid or invalid. Number 2. All lawyers are liars. We are saying that anyone who is a lawyer is also a liar. Ade is a lawyer. Ade is a liar. Are you sure you can answer this one? This one is same thing applies. If all lawyers, if everybody in this category is a liar, therefore anytime you see one lawyer, they must be a liar. If it is true that all of them are liars. So if all lawyers are liars and Ade is a lawyer, therefore Ade must also be a liar. So this argument is, so look at it, all lawyers are liars, Ade is a lawyer, therefore Ade must be a liar. You can write 10 examples. All politicians are God-fearing. Mr. Akpan is a politician, therefore Mr. Akpan is God-fearing, deductive and valid. So what he's saying, are you sure they are God-fearing? Well, that one is not about whether it is sound or unsound. But we look at arguments for validity and invalidity. We now look at premises and each conclusion, or the conclusion and each premise, to determine the soundness and maybe it is not sound. So this argument, all lawyers are liars, Ade is a lawyer, Ade is a liar, is valid and deductive. Those are examples. So there are many other examples. You can also say all Polytechnic students are intelligent. Premise 1. Premise 2. John is a Polytechnic student. Conclusion. John is intelligent. Very valid, very deductive. We can say that all African nations are rich. Nigeria is an African nation. Nigeria is rich, valid and deductive. You can say all ladies are beautiful. Kemi is a lady. Kemi is beautiful, valid and deductive. Because all this, you cannot say that if we all agree, if we say that all men or all ladies are beautiful, We cannot now pick one of them out and say it's not beautiful. Remember our loss of thoughts in episode 1. And that's why you might need to go and read that episode, to go and follow that episode to be able to understand some of these things. So these are the different 10 examples of deductive and valid arguments. How about invalid arguments? All men are mortal. John is immortal. John is a man. Premise 1, remember. Premise 2, remember. Conclusion. So let's leave this junction. So we want to see if this argument is deductive or inductive. We are saying that all men, anytime you see a man, must die. We are now saying, look at premise 2, which is where the technicality works, and many people do get it wrong at this point. John is a mortal. So we are saying all men are mortal. John is a mortal. John is a man. This argument is inductive. Why is it inductive? John is a mortal. Alright? It doesn't necessarily mean that John can now belong to the class of men. John could be a mortal and John could just be any other thing. Because we are saying that all men are mortal. Yes. John, if John were to be a man, then he must be a mortal. But if John is a mortal, we can now conclude that John is part of the men. So that's how it works. We cannot agree that if all men are mortal and John is a mortal, John is a man. John can be a mortal and just be an animal. Because that he dies, animals also die. So all men are mortal, John is a mortal, therefore John is a man. That is inductive. The premises do not support the conclusion. If he were to belong to the class of men, and all men experience this one, therefore John must also experience this one. Let me give another example. You're going to understand better. So this one is called inductive because the premises do not support the conclusion. So this is another example of inductive argument. This is a very popular example, also very controversial. I remember when I was taking it in classes and many of the students were saying, how can this thing be? Something has changed here. We are saying all lawyers are liars. Taking, nobody can really fight a premises as such. Conclusion is what we want to argue about. Ade is a liar. Okay? Ade is a lawyer. How can that be? Because all lawyers are liars. Ade is also a liar. Ade can be a liar and not be a lawyer. Ade is a liar, but he could be a doctor. Ade can be a liar and not be a lawyer. He can be a liar and be a mechanic. Because they also play some very nice funny. So Ade could be a liar and just be a teacher. Ade could be a liar but also be an optician, a dentist, not necessarily a lawyer. So when we now say Ade is a lawyer because Ade is a liar, that is not true. So the argument is invalid and inductive because the premises 1 and 2, they do not give us enough ground to accept the conclusion that Ade is a lawyer. If you have any question, remember to use the comment section. All lawyers are liars, taking. Ade is a liar, okay? Ade is a liar, no. This argument is inductive and invalid. However, it can be, how do we make it valid? I'm coming there. But just look at this example, this argument, because Ade is a lawyer, all lawyers are liars, Ade is a liar, and Ade is a lawyer. If Ade were to be a lawyer, then he must be a liar. But we have only said here that Ade is a liar in the premise. Who can also be a doctor or anybody. So this argument is invalid and inductive. But if I just, to make this argument deductive, let me show you a secret. All lawyers are liars. If Ade were to be a lawyer here, then necessarily he must be a liar. So this one is deductive. This one is not deductive. Why? Because we have said that all lawyers are liars, and Ade now belongs to the class of lawyers who are liars. Therefore, he must also be one of them. So that will be all for that session. And if you have any questions, there are many examples of inductive argument. These are from generalization. These are from generalization to particular. For example, if I say that, another example is when I say that John is a poly student and is tall, premise 1. Tolu is a poly student and is tall. Ayo, a poly student and is tall. So all poly students are tall. That argument is inductive. Do you know why? For that argument to be true, I must go and search all the students to be sure they are all tall. When I say all poly students are tall, John is a poly student, John is tall, that one is deductive. For example, when I say Mr. John is a politician and is corrupt, Mr. Cole is a politician and is corrupt, Mr. Herbert is a politician and is corrupt, Mr. Wale a politician and is corrupt, therefore all politicians are corrupt. That one is also inductive. Thank you very much for joining. I think we have been able to treat the meaning of argument, the types, the different examples, the meaning of sound and unsound argument. I told us about sound and unsound. When the propositions are true, therefore the conclusion are also true. That makes a very sound argument. So that will be all for now in this episode 2 of logic. We've been able to look at the meaning of arguments, the types, where we look at inductive and deductive. We have discussed what a premise or premises mean and what a conclusion also implies. Before also looking at soundness, when I was saying that soundness of an argument talks about the trueness of the proposition. And of course, when the propositions are true, the conclusion must also be true. That will be all for now. Remember to subscribe, to leave your questions as comments. And if there's any area you want us to re-emphasize or to look at again, please ensure to let us know in the comment section. Our technical officers are waiting for your questions to send it to us so we can attend to it immediately. Thank you very much. In the next episode, please watch out. We'll be talking about another aspect of logic known as fallacies. And of course, some of the themes and concepts in logic. Thank you for joining. Drop your comment, like, and subscribe. Tell a friend about it and share the link. See you in the next episode and the next class. Bye for now.